Experts say to avoid taboo topics on first dates, but they're wrong. You should talk about sex, your ex, even talk about being sexually inexperienced, just do it the right way. Women lose interest in you on dates because you stick to safe topics. Talking about taboo topics the right way can actually spark romantic chemistry. I'm dating coach and best-selling author Connell Barrett. In this video, I'm gonna share 5 taboo topics that you should talk about on first dates, and I'll teach you how to talk about them the right way. And get ready, you're about to stop hearing, I'm just not feeling it, and start hearing, let's go out again. And by the way, at the end of the video, I'm gonna share the one phrase that instantly turns women off on first dates. So make sure you check that out at the end. Let's go. Taboo topic number 1, sexual inexperience or being a virgin. If you're not sexually experienced, you're probably embarrassed by that and hesitant to talk about it. And I totally get it. The reason is shame. You think that maybe this means you're not enough, but sexual inexperience is not some fatal flaw. Women respond to men of confidence and authenticity regardless of your dating experience level. I've coached hundreds of men who had never had sex when they hired me, which means I've helped deflower more virgins than Led Zeppelin in the 70s. Just in my case, it's all men. Women just don't care how many women you've slept with. All they really care about is that you're normal, you have your life together, and if you can put together IKEA furniture, that's a bonus. One of my clients, Russell, is a successful software engineer and a business owner. He was 35 and still a virgin when he came to work with me, and he started dating a woman named Brandy. And he was terrified to tell her the truth that he was a virgin. So on their first date, he just owned up to it. He said, I want to be honest with you. I've never had sex before, and I wanted to tell you. He expected her to pull away or disappear. Instead, she actually appreciated his level of honesty. So they kept dating, and on their 4th date, they were on his couch making out, and things were getting hot and heavy. And she said to him, and I quote, I want to be your first and your last. Then she took his hand and led him into the bedroom to make him a man. Now that moment happened because he was honest, grounded, and comfortable with who he was, and he eliminated shame from his mindset. Here's your move. If you're a virgin or if you have sexual inexperience and that's part of your story, don't hide it. Feel free to mention it on the first couple of dates. You can say something like, just so you know, I haven't had much sexual experience and I'm okay with that. I just haven't found the right one for me. Say it as a fact, not as some huge confession. For the right woman, that level of honesty will create trust and attraction. Okay, now that was all about owning your sexual inexperience, but what about talking about past relationships? That brings us to taboo topic number 2, talking about your ex. It's okay to talk about your ex, just do it the right way. You avoid talking about your ex because you're probably afraid of looking bitter or being stuck in the past. But here's what most guys miss. Talking about your ex the right way by taking full responsibility for your role in the breakup actually makes you more attractive to that woman you're on a date with. When you own your mistakes without blaming the woman, you signal emotional maturity, self-awareness, and growth. You're showing her that you're not some bitter ex-boyfriend, you're not pointing fingers, you're a grown-ass man who's learned from his experience, and that's attractive. On first dates, I often talk about my failed 9-week marriage. That's right, I was once married for 9 weeks. It was over so fast, we fought for custody of the wedding cake. My secret was I never blamed my ex. I owned up to it. I said to my dates, look, it takes 2 to tango, but I was the one who tripped over my feet. My marriage was primarily my fault. And I told women that, and I said it from a place not of insecurity, but of ownership, and women like a man who takes ownership for his past relationships. Now this works because telling the authentic truth is just attractive. Women are craving a guy who has the confidence to own up to being human, to making mistakes. That's incredibly attractive and vulnerable. You're basically saying to her, I'm your dream man, not because of cool lines, but because I'm self-aware, I'm growing, and I'm trying to do the right thing with my next relationship. So here's your move. On your next first date, spend up to 5 minutes max talking about the most important relationship of your past. But I want you to own what you did wrong and what you learned. Don't make it about what she did, make it about what you learned. On my first date with my girlfriend Jess, I said, quote, my failed marriage taught me to never settle for somebody who isn't incredible because I want my partner to be amazing and I want her to feel chosen by a great guy. That one sentence told her that I value growth, I respect women, and that I take relationships seriously, but without making it heavy or negative. And plus, I just owned how I settled for that 9-week marriage, and the fault was mainly mine. All right, now the next topic might seem risky, but it's actually one of the most powerful ways to create a great connection on a first date. Taboo topic number 3, talking about sex. You avoid this topic of sex, because you're afraid you'll come off as creepy or inappropriate, or it'll get awkward, so you probably pretend it doesn't even exist. But it's sex. Sex is woven into the fabric of dating and love. And avoiding the topic of sex on a date, that's like avoiding the topic of food at a restaurant. It's already on the menu. It's part of why you're both there. So pretending sex doesn't exist just makes your dates safer. You play it safe, and that can lead to the friend zone. The better first date approach is to introduce sex or sex adjacent topics, but do it in an innocent, G-rated way, and then see how she responds. Here's the best way to do it. Bring up the topic of first kisses. Coming of age topics like the first kiss or the first date. It's innocent and it's not creepy. One woman on a date told me about how when she was in high school, her first kiss led to her and her boyfriend's braces getting stuck for 5 minutes. Like, that's adorable. That's a great way to bring the topic of romantic connection into a date that can lead to talking about sex later. So this gives you an easy entry point into possibly more adult topics later. So share the story of your first ever smooch and then ask her about her first kiss. From there, you can gauge her reaction and you can see whether or not you should go further or stop. And that's when things can get fun, is when you both want to go a little bit further. On first dates, I used to always talk about the very first time I had sex with my college girlfriend, Angie. But I didn't brag about it, and I wasn't vulgar or graphic. Quite the opposite. I told a true, funny, authentic, and vulnerable story. I had told Angie, my college girlfriend, that I was experienced sexually, but the truth is I was a virgin and I was embarrassed about it.
Are you a virgin? Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
But I told her I was a bit of a player. And when we finally hooked up for the first time, she was expecting this amazing sexual experience, and I did not last long. I've heard sneezes that lasted longer than I had the first time Angie and I had sex. Poor Angie. Angie, if you're out there, I'm sorry. My point is this: if you talk about sex, go first and talk about it through the lens of vulnerability. Like you're still trying to figure out this crazy thing called sex and intimacy. Aren't we all? This makes you human, relatable, and to many women attractive. My client Aaron was on a first date with Samantha. First, they talked about first kisses, just like I coached him to. Next, they talk about what makes for good kissing. And before he knew it, Samantha shot him a sexy look and said, "So, in bed, do you like a woman to be on top or on the bottom?" And so things got very steamy for Aaron and Samantha, and it all started with him saying, "So Samantha, what was your first kiss like? Here's what mine was like." It's that simple. Here's your move. Introduce sex in a G-rated way by talking about first crushes in grade school or high school or first kisses. Then notice how she responds. Does she like the topic? Keep going forward. If she doesn't, you can always pull back. And yes, it's okay to ask her about her first kiss, but do not straight up ask her about her first time having sex. Some women are just not comfortable talking about sex on a first date at all, and that is totally okay. Now, you can talk about your first time if you've had innocent conversations first, but don't straight up ask her about hers. If she wants to share it, she will, and if she doesn't, that's fine. Your job is to open a door, not to push her through it. Okay, the next taboo topic is actually a great thing to bring up in the first 15 minutes of a date so that you start the date perfectly. Here we go. Taboo topic number 4, talking about dating failures. You're told not to talk about dating failures, right? But there's one dating failure topic that can get your date off on the right foot and also help you know what to say and also make you look really attractive to her. Talk about first date horror stories, especially hers. Find out who the weirdest guy she ever had a first date with was. Get the story there. Unlike most men, almost every woman has had a total weirdo dude she met for a first date, and she's gonna be happy to share the story with you if you ask. Over the years, I asked many women on first dates, "So, who's the weirdest guy you ever met for a first date?" And they had some doozies. I heard about a guy whose cocaine dealer showed up mid-date. I heard about the dude who paused the date to go next door to check on his laundry. And then there was the guy who wore vampire fangs to a date. And no, it was not Halloween. I guess some guys just treat first dates like experimental theater. And one woman told me about the guy who 5 minutes into their date, point blank asked her, "So, what shape are your areolas?" "I like a very specific areola shape." Yikes. Getting her to share her favorite first date weirdo story helps you in two ways. First, it gives you something to talk about after the nice to meet you chit chat at the beginning. Second, she's going to be comparing that odd guy from her story to the awesomeness that is you, and you're going to look even better by comparison. So here's your move. About 5 to 10 minutes in, ask her, so it's our first date. I'm curious, who's the weirdest guy you ever met on a first date? After she shares her story, tell a light story of your own, if you have one. My go-to example back in the day was the woman who ordered 4 drinks at once on a first date. She ordered a Guinness, a ginger ale, a water, and a smoothie. So it was quirky, but not creepy, and it always gets a laugh. My client Jake asked his date this question, and she told him about the guy who brought his mom to their first date. By the end of the story, she was laughing so hard that they both had tears in their eyes, and Jake looked so much better by comparison, and also their date started off hitting the ground running. Just one heads up, do not judge or criticize the woman who you talk about if you share a story. So never ever tell a story on a date about that crazy, psycho, weird woman you met. Keep your own first date weird stories about light, small, quirky behavior, and this way you're going to make a good impression and show her that you like and respect women. All right, now this last taboo topic might sound risky, but it's actually one of the most powerful ways to create a real spark on a first date. Taboo topic number 5, sharing your nerdy, uncool hobbies. A lot of bad dating advice says, be cool, talk about your car, money, your status, your lifestyle, act mysterious. So what happens is you actually hide the things about you that make you you. You don't talk about things you love. You don't talk about Dungeons and Dragons or history or nerdy TV shows. So that advice is wrong. Most women don't want cool. They don't want mysterious. They want authentic. They want real and relatable. So if you're not cool, lean into it. When you're unapologetically uncool, you actually become cool because you stop performing and you start showing up as who you actually are. And this makes you amazingly cool to your type of woman. Take me. I am shamelessly uncool. I'm a nerd with glasses. I'm an introvert. I love bad movies and dad jokes. I love musical theater. I do jazz hands, non-ironically. I know how to do coin magic. That's right, I actually walk around with a large coin, like the guy in 40-Year-Old Virgin. Nothing about me screams ladies man, let alone dating coach. But when you are uncool without apology, you attract women who see a kindred spirit in you. My future girlfriend Brooke said to me on our second date, she said, "You're so weird," and she smiled. Just as weird as me. She saw a like-minded person. And a lot of women see themselves as nerds and dorks. They feel safer and more connected with a guy who's a bit of a nerd, a bit of a dork. And if you own it, instead of hiding it, you become confident. And look, I tried being cool. The biker jacket never fit me. I'm a nice, nerdy ginger from Ohio, from the Midwest. Once I leaned into that, dating got so much easier for me. So here's your move. On your next first date, talk about one thing you genuinely love that you usually hide, a nerdy interest, an uncool passion, Dungeons and Dragons, or anime, or AI, or history, or Star Wars, bad movies, whatever it is that lights you up. I once talked about Abraham Lincoln for 45 freaking minutes on a first date with an absolute gorgeous blonde stunner, and she loved it.
Now!
And then there's my client, Barry. Barry met his girlfriend, Amy, at Comic-Con here in New York City. She was dressed as Sailor Moon. I don't even know who or what Sailor Moon is, but Barry did. He approached her, they started chatting, and now these two adorable dorks are going to Comic-Cons together as boyfriend and girlfriend. All right, as promised, here's that one phrase you should never ever say on a date, or for that matter, when you're texting a woman. Even if you do these 5 taboo topics correctly, this can mess you up. Never say any version of, "I'm a high value man," or "I'm the prize," or asking a woman, "What do you bring to the table?" This is toxic, arrogant poison. Rather than making you seem attractive, this actually conveys insecurity to women. After all, Ferraris don't chase down people in parking lots yelling, "Buy me, I'm fast." They just are Ferraris. I recently matched with a woman on Bumble who told me what a huge turnoff it is because she hears from so many guys who say, "I'm high value. You better be worth my time. What do you bring to my table?" So don't do it. It's a turnoff. The moment that you announce your value, you lower it. Real confidence doesn't need a sales pitch. So ignore the manosphere, ignore the red pill, and buy into the idea that you are enough right now. Women will like you for you as long as you're being authentic. All right, those are the 5 taboo topics I want you to start using on first dates to start getting a lot more second dates. By the way, if you would like to know how my one-on-one personalized dating coach works, go to datingtransformation.com and you can book a free consultation chat with me. We can talk about some of your dating issues and I will give you a roadmap to help you get more second dates, to get great at flirting, and to get a great girlfriend. And also I can share with you how dating coaching works. Go to datingtransformation.com to learn a lot more about how my coaching works, and I'll see you next time.